fellow homeschoolers, it's Amber Marie from Forging Foundations. If you're new to my channel, I'm a former teacher turned homeschool mom. I have 3 children ages 6, 3, and 10 months old. This is our 3rd video in my theme for August, back to school. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you all about the reading curriculum or language arts curriculums that I'm using. So let's go ahead and take a look. So in today's video, I'm going to share 2 things. First, what I'm using, and then how I'm using it. The first thing I'm using is the Good and the Beautiful Level K Language Arts curriculum. This is the new course book, and I will have a video on the differences between the 1st edition and the 2nd edition coming next month for those of you that really want to see what it looks like on the inside and the differences and similarities when it comes to the lessons. So this is what I'm using, and this is the reader that comes with it. There's a bunch of other things that come with it too. There's these Phonics cards, and I actually sort them a different way, which I'll get into later in the video. And then there's also, these are just flashcards I made for sight words, and then they have these little mini books as well. And the first one is actually in our reading incentive folder right now because my son was instructed to read it during one of the lessons, so we put it in our folder so we can keep track of it. And if you're interested in what my reading incentive folder is all about, you can check that out in the little card at the top of the screen or in the description box below. So in these lessons, what's kind of nice, and like I said, I'm not going to do a huge flip through of this curriculum just because I plan on doing a flip through later next month. So, but they have the sight word ladder, and then they have 1 lesson a day, and it's about a lesson a page. Sometimes the lessons are 2 pages, but it's been really, really great for my son because reading is not one of his favorite subjects. Math is definitely his favorite, and science as well. And so having shorter lessons like this has really helped him stay focused. They literally take us maybe 10-15 minutes tops, sometimes even less time depending on the length of the lesson and how focused he is. But as you can see, there's check boxes that go along with the lessons. There's an independent practice section, and each one is different, and he's been really liking reading these sentences down here and figuring out which ones are correct. This was very, very clever. I loved this. And then this part, he practices saying the words, and he does it pretty quick, so it doesn't take very long. Now, one thing that you'll see on some of the lessons, it's every other lesson right now in the beginning. I imagine that as it gets later in the course book, it'll be every lesson, but they say practice sight word ladders and practice phonics cards. And there's one of the lessons says that it can be done at any time. Yeah, right here it says helpful hints. These are really nice throughout the curriculum, but it says helpful hint, sight word ladders and phonics cards can be done at any point in the lesson or even at the end. So that's something that I've been doing. We've been doing it at the end because what we normally do is we do it a little different than they talk about in the front of the book. They instruct you to practice phonics cards and sight word ladders, and so just to kind of show you, here are the sight word ladders that my son is practicing right now. And we are practicing all these words, but we're not doing it where he just sits here and reads them. And they don't say that you have to do that. It says practice 1 to 2 charts each time. He practices sight words once the chart is mastered. Every once in a while, have them do it, review day, that kind of thing. So it kind of just tells you what you should be doing, but it doesn't tell you how to do it as far as the way you teach the sight words to your child. So the nice thing about that is you have the freedom to kind of decide how you're going to teach it. And my son is really into games and really into hands-on learning. So what I ended up doing was just writing this first sight word ladder on index cards. And we use these index cards for different types of games, but then also just for review. Like when on Fridays normally, I'll go ahead and we'll go through the list just by flipping through and putting it down and seeing how many he remembers. And then I normally put a check on this sight word ladder to let me know he's gotten that down. Now I forgot to put a check next to you because he did do it at least once. But the cool thing with this curriculum is that each time they complete a sight word ladder and it's mastered, then they get to color a animal on the picture. And the same thing goes for the phonics cards, which I think are actually before this. Yes. So the phonics cards, once they master 1 through 18, they get to color this picture. 19 through 37 this one, and 38 through 56 this one. So that's kind of fun. My son is really looking forward to coloring all these things. So he'll get into that a little more. But just to kind of give you some ideas with the games that I go ahead and I use, we play memory with these. We do a beanbag toss where I'll lay them out on the floor and he'll try and hit one with the beanbag or toss a beanbag to it, and then he has to say the letter. We do a target range with Nerf guns, and I'll put them up on targets on the wall, just like printed targets or drawn targets, and I'll just tape these up on the wall, and he'll try and hit one, and whichever one he hits, he says that word. We do hopscotch style. We can sometimes do grids where he just hops to the closest one he can get to and he reads it. Simon Says, this is one I haven't tried with him yet, but I will let you know how it goes on Instagram. I'm gonna tape these onto his body in different, like on his knees, on his elbows, on his forehead, on his ears, you know, that kind of thing. My son isn't sensitive to that kind of stuff. He actually thinks it's kind of funny. But what I'll do is I'll tell him to, you know, Simon Says, touch your ear or your right ear, and he'll grab the card that's on his right ear and then read the card. So that'll just be a fun one to try. I don't know if he's gonna like it or not. Like I said, I'll let you guys know about that. But again, there's so many on Pinterest. You can just find games, and it's a fun way to review cards and review the words. And then, like I said, at the end of the week, I go ahead and I test him to see how many he remembered, and then if he remembers them all, he gets one of the check boxes. He likes stickers, so he puts a sticker on there, and then once he's mastered it, he'll get to color the cow. I'm not stressed out about getting these done in a certain number of weeks. So one thing I would say is, like, I don't plan on being like, okay, we need to have this one mastered in 3 weeks, and so that each week he's getting a smiley face. No, I'm just going to be very gentle with the way I approach the sight words, because I don't want him to get overwhelmed. And I realize that sight words are helpful when it comes to reading, but at the same time, I want him to love reading, and I don't want it to be a chore for him. So making it fun is how I plan on getting him more interested in it, if that makes sense. So this is what I do for the sight word ladder part. And then the phonics cards, the way I organize the phonics cards is very similar to the way The Good and the Beautiful tells you to. They say to have, let me just see if I can find it real quick. They say to have 3 quart-size Ziploc bags, a learning, a mastered, and a not learning. And so what I have here is just a index card holder, and I have little tabs. And on these tabs, I have not learned, learning, and mastered, but then I also have review week 1, review week 2. And so what I plan on doing is taking 5 cards at a time, and they say to do 7 to 10, but I tried 10 and 7 with my son, and he just seemed very overwhelmed. So we just started with 5. And we're gonna do 5 cards a week, and at the end of the week, I'm gonna review and see if he remembers them, and if he doesn't, we're gonna review them for another week. I will not move the cards. So right now we have the first, where are they? Oh, they're not in here. Yes, they are. Never mind, I'm sorry. So we have the first 5 cards here, and he knows these, but I just haven't moved them yet. So we have the first 5 cards here. We'll review them doing games similar to the sight word games that I was talking about for the sight word ladder. We'll review them each day doing a fun game, and then on the Friday of that week, we'll just do like a flip through. Like, I'll hold one up, I'll ask him what the sounds are, he tells me, or I'll ask him to read it, and then I move on to the next one, and then I move on to the next one. However many he gets right, I'm still going to keep them if he misses a few altogether, because that's partly for my sanity. Because if I were moving a few to the next tab and leaving some that he didn't know right off the bat in behind, I think I would get confused when it comes to figuring out how long he's been practicing different ones. And I know that might not matter as much, but for me personally, we're just gonna practice 5 at a time until he gets them all right, and then we'll move on. And so once he has gotten them all right at least once, then what we'll do is we will move it to the review week 1 tab. And so what that means, we've already started working on another set of 5 that following week, and we'll be reviewing those new 5 cards that upcoming week. And then on that Friday, when we do the review where we just flip through our new 5 cards, we'll also review the 5 cards from the previous week that we had just mastered. We only review it once. It's not like he is reviewing it every day, because he's already done that. So once he's mastered it one time and he's gotten through all of them without a mistake, it'll go to review week 1. That Friday of that review week 1, we'll review them. And then even if he gets one of them wrong, we're gonna move it to review week 2. Basically, I just want him to be reviewing it, and if he gets it wrong once, we'll just remediate at that time and then move on. Because like I said, he will have practiced it for a week or even 2 or 3, depending on how long it takes him to get those cards down, and then we'll move them. So then from there, once it hits review week 2, and we've reviewed it for the second week after he's mastered them, then it'll go to the final mastery section. And what I plan on doing is, once it's mastered, behind the mastered tab, maybe once a month, we'll just pull those out and we'll review those just to make sure he hasn't regressed or forgotten any of them. So that's how I have this set up. And like I said, I have it all just kind of in this box. And I made a box for level 1 and level 2 so that I already have, because we already have all the phonics cards. And the phonics cards for level 1, it goes up to level K, it goes up to 56. And so we have all the phonics cards, so I already sorted them based on what level they're part of. So that's what I do with the phonics cards. So then I have these little mini readers, and I haven't cut them all out yet. So I have 1 through 5, and then I somehow cut out 24. But these readers are used throughout the whole course, and then this one is actually started after section 1. So once section 1 is done, then he gets to start reading through here. So when I use the readers, we actually don't use them during the lesson. In the lesson it says that you can do it at any time, but with the readers, we'll go ahead and we do that during our reading incentive time. And that's when I am sitting down with my son and we pick a story to read, 1 or 2 stories to read. He gets a star for each story he reads, and then that goes towards his incentive system. Like I said before, I'll have a card up in the top of the video here, along with a link in the description box, so you guys can check out that video, because I do have a video specific to the reading incentive system. 2 last things that I'm using for our language arts curriculum are Explode the Code, and this is what I use for independent work. And I basically just have him do 1 to 2 pages a day, depending on the difficulty of the page. Like some of these ones where he just has to read the sound and circle it, I'll give him 2 pages, but some where he actually has to write, he is still working on like reading something, then writing it down. That'll be like more like 1 page. So this is an independent work time, and he does this whenever I have to step away and work with my toddler or my baby. So this is kind of one of those things where we don't have a set time for when he uses this. It's just something he pulls out if I have to step away from our learning. Even if we're in the middle of this course book, let's say we're not done with the lesson, I'll be like, hey, we're gonna pause our time with the lesson, take out your independent work and work on that until I come back. And he just gets this out, or he gets his handwriting level 1 out from The Good and the Beautiful. And this one, he really enjoys this handwriting. You can already see that he's done a lot of pages already. But I want to show you the one where he drew me. Us doing school time. That's us doing school time. He even drew the little like beauty marks on my arms. I thought that was hilarious. But anyways, so he's been practicing this, and we've been doing 2 pages a day, but I think I might slow it down just so that we don't get through this book too quickly, because it is 100 pages. That would mean we'd finish, if we did 2 pages a day, we'd finish it in 50 days, which is only about 10 to 12 weeks for us. And that's not even, that's like about a fourth of our school year. So we would finish this and level 2, because I did get level 2 for this school year, which I forgot to bring up, but I do have more Explode the Codes and more handwritings that I'm using for this school year. But I don't want to get through this too quickly, so I am going to start doing it where it's 1 page a day, and then that way it lasts us till the end of the school year with the level 2. And same with this. We have the Explode the Code level 1, 1.5, 2, and 2.5, a little less than half a school year. So we'll go ahead and we'll do the other book too, but I'll make sure to do an update video on that. Once we finish these 2 things, I'll show you the other 2. So this is the curriculum we're going to be using for our 1st grade year with my oldest son. Thank you so much for watching this video today. I hope it was helpful for you. Please give it a thumbs up if it was. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.